The village of Oakhaven was a place of shadows and secrets. Nestled deep in a valley, it was shrouded in perpetual mist, a physical manifestation of the whispers that clung to its history.
Every villager knew the tale of Eliza, the healer who lived on the outskirts. They spoke of her in hushed tones, their voices laced with fear and reverence.
Eliza's gift of healing was undeniable, but it came at a price. She dabbled in dark magic, they said, drawing power from forces unknown.
Some claimed to have witnessed her rituals under the blood moon, chanting incantations in a language older than time. Others swore they saw strange lights emanating from her cottage, accompanied by unearthly sounds.
A scorned lover, driven by jealousy and fear, had accused Eliza of witchcraft. The villagers, their minds poisoned by suspicion, turned on their healer. The night Eliza vanished was etched into Oakhaven's memory. They stormed Eliza's cottage, their torches blazing like their anger. But Eliza was gone. The cottage stood empty, save for a chilling silence that spoke volumes.
Some whispered that she had fled into the night, swallowed by the storm. Others believed she had simply vanished, her magic shielding her from the world's judgment.
Her cottage remained untouched, a stark reminder of the village's sin. It stood at the edge of the woods, a brooding silhouette against the grey sky. The villagers avoided it, their fear a tangible entity that clung to the overgrown path leading to its door. They knew in their hearts that Eliza's story wasn't over. Her magic, like the whispers that haunted their steps, was eternal. Clara, a young woman with a thirst for knowledge, arrived in Oakhaven on a day much like any other. The air was heavy with unshed rain, and the whispers seemed louder.
She had heard tales of Oakhaven and Eliza, tales that piqued her curiosity. Clara, a historian by passion, was drawn to forgotten stories.
The villagers recounted Eliza's legend with a fervor that bordered on fanaticism.
They spoke of curses and vengeful spirits, their words laced with fear.
Clara didn't believe in curses or vengeful spirits. She believed in facts, in tangible evidence. Despite their warnings, Clara decided to visit Eliza's abandoned cottage. Undeterred, she ventured out, her footsteps echoing in the deserted lanes.
The villagers watched her go, their faces grim, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and morbid curiosity. It was more than just a dilapidated building. It was a portal to the past, a repository of secrets waiting to be unearthed.
The cottage stood at the end of the path, a solitary figure against the backdrop of the raging storm. Its windows were dark, like empty eyes staring out at her. The once thatched roof had caved in places, giving the impression of a skeletal hand reaching towards the sky.
Clara, her heart pounding with a mixture of apprehension and excitement, approached cautiously. The air grew colder as she neared, as if the cottage itself was exhaling a breath of icy air.
Lightning flashed, illuminating the cottage in a brief stark light. Clara noticed strange symbols etched into the wood above the door, symbols that sent a shiver down her spine. They were unfamiliar, ancient, radiating an aura of power that was both alluring and unsettling.
Clara, ever the historian, reached for her notebook, her fingers trembling slightly as she attempted to sketch the symbols. She had a feeling they held the key to understanding Eliza and the truth behind the legend.
Pushing open the creaking door, Clara stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and the musty scent of decay. Cobwebs hung from every corner and the floorboards groaned ominously beneath her weight. Through the grime-covered windows, lightning flashed, illuminating the interior in a series of disjointed snapshots. Clara took a deep breath, trying to acclimate to the oppressive atmosphere. She'd expected to find an empty shell, but the cottage felt strangely alive, as if it were holding its breath, waiting for her next move. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, Clara felt a surge of excitement. This was it, the heart of the legend, the place where Eliza had lived and worked her magic. The cottage was more than just a decaying structure, it was a treasure trove of history, a repository of secrets waiting to be unearthed. Clara, her curiosity outweighing her apprehension, began to explore, her footsteps echoing in the silence as she delved deeper into the heart of Eliza's abode. The cottage was deceptively small. Each room Clara explored, while cluttered with the remnants of a life lived, seemed to lead to another, each one smaller and more claustrophobic than the last. The air grew heavier with each step, the silence broken only by the creaking of the floorboards and the pounding of Clara's heart.
I can feel a presence here, something ancient and unseen, watching my every move.
In what appeared to be Eliza's former study, Clara discovered a hidden door concealed behind a bookshelf. The bookshelf, filled with ancient tomes bound in leather and etched with strange symbols, seemed to pulse with an energy that sent a shiver down her spine.
My heart is racing with a mixture of trepidation and excitement.
Carefully, Clara moved the bookshelf, revealing the hidden door. The door was made of dark, heavy wood, and it was locked, the keyhole sealed with what appeared to be dried wax. Clara, her curiosity piqued, reached into her bag for her toolkit. As she worked on the lock, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was crossing a line, entering a place where she was not meant to be.
Turn back, you are not welcome here.
The air grew colder, and the whispers seemed to grow louder, urging her to turn back. With a click, the lock yielded and the door creaked open, revealing a small, dusty room. The air inside was stagnant, heavy with the scent of decay and something else, something acrid and vaguely metallic that made Clara's stomach churn. The only source of light came from the storm raging outside, casting long, dancing shadows across the room. Clara hesitated for a moment, torn between her desire to uncover the truth and a growing sense of unease. But the lure of the unknown was too strong to resist. Taking a deep breath, Clara stepped inside, sealing her fate with a resounding thud as the door swung shut behind her. The hidden room was small and sparsely furnished. Dust-covered shelves lined the walls, their contents hidden in the gloom. A single three-legged stool sat in the center of the room, facing a large, ornate mirror that hung on the far wall. The mirror, its silvered surface tarnished with age, seemed to draw Clara's gaze, beckoning her closer.
These books, they look ancient.
As Clara explored the room, her fingers traced the spines of the books lining the shelves. They were ancient texts, bound in leather and filled with handwritten script in a language she couldn't decipher. Some were grimoires, their pages filled with chilling illustrations of demonic entities and arcane rituals. Others seemed to be journals, their pages filled with Eliza's elegant script, detailing her experiments, her fears, and her growing mastery of the forces she sought to control.
Eliza's writings, they paint a picture of a woman both brilliant and deeply troubled.
As Clara delved deeper into Eliza's writings, a sense of unease settled over her. The journals painted a picture of a woman both brilliant and deeply troubled, a woman who walked a precarious line between healing and harming, driven by a thirst for knowledge that ultimately consumed her. Eliza's words were like whispers from the past, echoing in the silence of the hidden room, revealing the torment and the ecstasy of her journey into the heart of darkness.
This passage, it's describing a ritual intended to bind a spirit to the mortal realm.
The air in the room seemed to crackle with energy, and the mirror on the wall pulsed with a faint ethereal light. Clara could feel her heart pounding in her chest, her breath catching in her throat. She knew, with a certainty that sent a shiver down her spine, that she was treading on dangerous ground. Eliza's magic, her thirst for knowledge, had come at a terrible price. And now, it seemed, Clara was about to discover just how high that price could be. Drawn by an unseen force, Clara found herself standing before the ornate mirror. Its tarnished surface reflected her image back at her, distorted and unfamiliar in the flickering light. As she gazed into its depths, she could have sworn she saw a movement, a fleeting glimpse of another world just beyond the glass.
What is this?
The air in the room grew colder and the whispers intensified, swirling around her like a vortex of unseen energy. Clara's reflection in the mirror wavered, the image of her own face replaced by a kaleidoscope of grotesque visages. Twisted faces with eyes that burned with unholy fire stared back at her, their mouths open in silent screams that seemed to claw at her sanity.
No, this can't be real.
Panic welled up inside Clara, threatening to overwhelm her. She tried to step back to break free from the mirror's hypnotic gaze, but her feet seemed rooted to the spot. It was as if the mirror itself was holding her captive, drawing her in with a force she couldn't resist. The whispers grew louder, morphing into distinct voices, chanting her name, pleading with her, threatening her.
Clara, join us.
Clara squeezed her eyes shut, desperately trying to block out the terrifying images and the cacophony of voices. But the mirror's hold on her was too strong. It was as if her very essence was being drawn into its depths, pulled towards a fate she couldn't even begin to comprehend.